What is going on YouTube? This is Black Bigelow with my very, very special guest, Miss Sarah right here. And we're going to talk a little bit about Miss Sarah's time when she was a teacher at a high school in an undisclosed location. But before we talk about that, I wanted to ask you a couple questions. Usually when I interview people, I like to get them loosened up and feeling comfortable. So we're just going to do a really quick interview before we get to that particular subject. So my first question is to you. Am I as fat as you thought I was on YouTube? Now me being in your living room.
I don't particularly think you're fat, but I knew you were self-conscious about your weight because I've heard you say it.
Very conscious about my weight. Okay, do you believe in ghosts?
Yes.
Have you ever had sex with a man who was so large, and I'm talking about penis size, that it was very uncomfortable and you could no longer have sex with him?
Yes.
Have you ever used the N-word in your life?
Only probably as a kid.
How many times have I tried to have sex with you since I've been in your place?
Numerous times.
Don't worry about that. We'll just have the editor edit that part out. Okay, very good. So let's talk about why we're here talking to you. So you were a teacher. We won't disclose the state that you were in, but you were a teacher and you taught high school. And you have the extinction, if that's the proper word that I'm using, of having sex with a former student of yours.
That's correct.
So tell us a little bit about...
That's sort of correct.
Okay, we're going to get to the bottom of that.
Okay.
Tell us exactly what transpired and how that all basically went down.
Okay, well, the kids I worked with were the kids that had like real bad behavior problems and stuff. That a lot of them were extremely intelligent. They were just had been put in special ed way back in the day because the regular teachers didn't want them, that kind of thing. So they ended up in a self-contained room, which was my room. So a lot of kids that were in regular ed had a free hour or, an hour they could do an elective or something, so they would come down to my room. A lot of them would. It was like their elective to go help out the special ed teacher. And one kid that did it was, it's going to be hard for me not to say his name.
We'll call him
Harley.
Harley.
Yeah, we'll call him Harley.
Okay, very good.
Okay. He was a big, what kind of guy? Thought he was really, really cool. Thought he was really funny. Thought he was like one of the Jackass guys, kind of like a Bam Margera kind of guy. Like, I don't know how to explain that. Not an emo. I'm a little bit old for emo, but I know what emos are.
So let's premise this story by asking, how old were you at the time?
Okay, my timelines are really messed up with my age, but I was at least 28, at least.
And this student of yours was how old?
17.
Okay, you were 28, he was 17. At the time of what occurred, were you married? Were you single? What was your life like?
Technically, I think I was still married, but I mean, it was definitely divorce. It was going through the proceedings.
Do you feel at the time that you started having a relationship with your student, do you feel that you were at a weakened state where you were quote unquote vulnerable to the, student maybe seeking or seeing something in you, maybe that you were getting some kind of attention from the student that you weren't getting at home?
Well, yeah, because I had just gotten out of a terrible relationship where the person I was with called me stupid and ugly and stuff. He was a huge alcoholic. I got sober. He didn't like that. So, I mean, I got some pretty bad emotional abuse. And
even though we are blurring teacher Sarah's face, I can assure you she is not ugly because I have tried to have sex with her several times to no avail. Moving along. So tell us.
Not ugly. I mean, that's it.
Well, what do you want me to say?
I mean, am I attractive? Am I very attractive? Am I...
Haven't I tried to have sex with you multiple times? You turned me down.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not Doja Cat, but God, I mean, you're an attractive woman.
Just because you try to have sex with someone, I'm not saying much.
Can we get on to the story, please? Anyways.
Can you just say I am a pretty good looking guy?
You're a good looking broad.
Am I a beautiful woman?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
I will make another attempt after this recording. Let's stick to the subject.
Okay. So, do you understand he wasn't my student, but he was a student. He was a student of the school. He came to my classroom for one period to be a helper.
Okay. So, tell us about the first encounter that you had physically with Harley.
The first physical encounter? Don't you want to know how it came together? Like how we met up and all that?
Not really. We want to talk about sex here.
But the way I got him was really sexy.
Okay, well, I'm asking you to tell us about the physical encounter.
Please tell me. Let me tell you how I lured him.
You lured him?
Yes.
How did you lure him?
Okay. Him and another kid, I had them come over to my house to help me move some stuff. Okay? And it was not from school. I didn't lure them from school. I saw them out in public because where we live is kind of a small community. Mm-hmm. So I said, hey, Harley, and the other one, can you guys stop by like Friday after school or whatever and help me move some furniture around? And they did. They both showed up. And I got Harley in the bedroom for a second while the other one was somewhere else in the house.
I got to stop you right there. How long were you planning on making a move on Harley?
I was probably attracted to him and flirting with him for about 3 months at school.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you get into the bedroom.
So I get into the bedroom and the other guy was there. I mean, only had a couple seconds. And I said to him, it's a shame you didn't come by yourself. It's a shame you didn't. I was hoping you would show up by yourself. Something like that.
Okay.
And then that was when it was like, now it's been laid down. And then next it came from he sent me a text.
Okay, what did the text say?
Come out to the area where he lives, because it's further out from where I live. And I said, for what? I wrote back and said, for what? And he said, to party like a rock star.
That's pretty lame. But then again, we're dealing with a 17-year-old.
Right.
Doesn't have too many pickup lines. So, the first physical encounter.
So I went to him.
Right.
And then he asked me to go, if we could go buy beer. It was too late to buy beer. And he had like 3 redneckish guys at his house. But I didn't know them at all. And I knew I didn't know them. He told me that. He said, nobody you know. And I trusted this guy. He was real cool. So nobody I knew. And I saw one of the guys said, hey, it's too late. They don't sell beer. And I saw Harley turn around and be like, shut up, shut up, shut up. Because we were leaving together. So we left together and I just went to my house.
Okay, and then what happened?
Then we kind of had the dynamic where we were kind of really sarcastic and rude to each other.
Yeah.
It was a really weird thing, and it was kind of like that. Like, he said, well, what are we going to do or something, and I said something stupid like, what, you want to play Parcheesi? Like, I was like real blunt about it, and then we just went in the bedroom. And
the bedroom of whose house?
My house.
Where, and you were single at the time or going?
Yeah, oh yeah, I was single. I had parted ways with my husband months before I put him out.
Okay, so you're a 28-year-old woman bedding down with a 17-year-old student of yours. You get to the bedroom, and what happens after you guys close the door or what have you?
Like I said the thing, I was throwing the critics on about, what, you want to play Parcheesi or something? And he wasn't, nasty or anything. I mean, even at being 17, But he wasn't an idiot either at all by any means. He didn't say something like, well, let's fuck. I mean, he was cool about it. He just like sat down on the bed or something and was like, come over here. You know, I mean, he was smooth. He wasn't stupid once we got in there.
So you sat on the bed next to him.
Right. And I don't think I was drinking. But it gets kind of a blur sometimes when things are passionate. So I don't remember exactly how it started. I just remember, like, because it happened more than once. I remember highlights of it.
Okay, so let's talk about the highlights. You guys start making out, and he pulls out his whatever, and was it good?
Yeah, and that's what happened. I was surprised because that he knew like what he was doing. Okay? I really didn't think he was gonna know, even though I knew he'd been with girls and had girlfriends before. I didn't think he was gonna know like what he was doing.
So he knew what he was doing.
He really did, and he was, oh my god, and he was saying the perfect things too, especially because I had just gotten out of this ugly relationship. He was saying things like when I was sitting on top of him, he was like, oh my god, like you are so perfect, you are so perfect. He kept saying stuff like that. So that, like holding my tits and being like, you're perfect. So, I really like that.
I'll have to remember that one. You are so perfect.
Yeah, I mean, he just kept like, and it, honestly, like he made it sound like for real. It wasn't like he was just saying it.
Were you, was he a smaller endowed man, bigger than
No,
endowed?
he was regular to large.
Was he a good looking kid?
Yeah, real good looking.
Okay.
But his attitude really got me. He was just such a smart ass. And I, as a teacher, you have administrators come in and see you how you're doing and watch you teach. They just drop in and stuff sometimes. And I had an administrator drop in when Harley was being the helper in my room, and the little shit sat there with the newspaper upside down the whole time I was being evaluated. The admin knew he wasn't my student, but still, that was...
Okay, so you slept with your student, and how long did this affair continue for?
I'd say about 4 months.
And then you guys had sex at least how many times do you think?
It would be like... I would say a dozen. I would say probably 12. Oh, and then he said he was funny too. And then so we had been having sex for a while, the very first time. And I was so surprised, especially because he was young, that he could last that long.
Mm-hmm.
And I said something about, aren't you going to, or, what's wrong with you? And he said, I'm like the carnival. And I said, what do you mean you're like the carnival? And he said, I come once a year. And I was like, what? Oh my god, this guy's 17. What is he doing?
Did you want more from him other than sex? Like, did you?
No, but he did.
You wanted to?
He wanted to, yeah. He caught feelings, he really did.
So, were you afraid of getting caught? Did you think he would, like, tell his friends, like, brag about it?
I can't explain it, but I guess because I kind of knew him, I just got this vibe off him. He was cool. I knew he wasn't like that. I mean, of course I was worried about it, but I really didn't think he was the type of
we
person.
could have seen you all over the newspapers. You could have been like with the Fraterno broad up in Washington.
Yeah, but I probably wasn't thinking my best because I had just ended that marriage, and that was such a nightmare.
Is that the only student you've ever banged?
Yes.
So what ended, like, the banging sessions? Like, what, he graduated high school? Or?
No, he didn't actually. I guess that was... I think what happened was, it must have been like in the fall that started, and then he went over to a vocational school. So I wasn't seeing him at all. And then I left. I decided I wanted a different career after that year. That was the end of my year. So I left, and I left the area, too, far, far away.
Are you still in contact with Harley?
Yes.
Have you had any kind of relationship with him afterwards of the...
A little bit.
Do you still talk to him as of today?
Yes.
So you guys will talk on the phone or email?
Yes.
And is he does he have like a kid, family?
He has had a couple really serious girlfriends. One I liked and thought just from what I could tell from social media and stuff, I was like, good for you, Harley. You know, I'm happy for you that you have this girl. And then the next one I thought was repulsive. And then he wanted to be single, and he was playing around. I heard he was having sex because it's a small town. I heard he was back pimping around with women, and I knew it was going to happen, and he did. He got somebody pregnant. So he just has a kid now. His first kid.
What was the last time you seen him?
About 9 months.
Did you guys sleep together?
That time, yes.
So you seen him 9 months ago. Was it as good as it was before?
No.
What was different?
He was so different. He's had a real hardcore job since he's been about 20. He's still sarcastic and has a sense of humor and stuff, but it was just different because we talked before. It's not like I just went over there and did that, but we talked about like his career and like he was building a house right then and stuff. So he was like definitely not a student anymore. He was just some regular dude.
So the sex this time, you know, maybe 10 years later or so, it's just different. There's not that same.
No, and I had not been with anybody in a really, really, really long time, so I was scared that it was going to be really painful, and it was, so it wasn't.
So it wasn't good because you had been so inactive in sex that your box, your magical box, was very taut. Very taut.
Yeah.
Did he try to ram it in there, or did he try to ease it in there?
No, he knows what he's doing.
So it was just you know, you were nervous probably, and
yeah, and I remember like another one of the things he said to me was like about how padded my bra was, and I was like, well, Harley, if my titties were as big as yours, I wouldn't need a padded bra. So I would always bust his chops. I love doing that.
See, if that were me, you wouldn't have a problem because I have my small, so you can yeah.
Oh, I was talking about something else.
Oh no, I was talking about me now.
Oh,
I think we're done talking about this Harley kid. Let's talk about me.
Oh, yeah, you want to talk about? Wait, I got one more. Wait, I had one more about Harley. Oh God, it was the. Oh, don't you want me to know about me running away from him? That I met up with him in a hotel and I ran away to the car and kept going.
Oh, you ran away from him?
Yeah.
Why'd you run away from him?
Okay, well, first of all, many years after the encounter when he was a teen, I had some real bad things happen in my life. I had a couple traumatic losses. I was not in a good space. I was living out of state. Like I said, he's like a real man. Like the past several years, 5 years or something. He got on a plane and came in and saw me for a weekend, which was really nice. It was not sexual at all. He just wanted to make sure I was okay. Because I called him one night. I was way out there. So that was really nice. And then when I moved back to the same state Harley was, he does a hardcore, really manly job that I think is kind of sexy. And he travels the whole state. So I went to meet him at his hotel. He always would get a hold of me randomly, and we would just play around back and forth. But then finally I said, okay. And he'd always say, meet me here, meet me in this city, because there's a lot of big cities in the state where I live. And he said, meet me in this city, and I finally just said, okay. So I drove there 2 hours away. He came down out of the hotel, but he was in a nice hotel. He came down, and I don't know, it felt weird. I went back in the room with him, and then I just kind of panicked, because I hadn't been with anybody in at least like 2 or 3 years then. So I kind of panicked. I told him I was going to the car to get condoms. I just got in the car and drove away and left.
You left him hanging, literally.
I did leave him hanging. But I never apologized. Was never mentioned again. And I saw him after that.
Cocksucker Harley. That's a pretty hot story.
He wasn't fun-loving. He was a bastard. He carried guns, and it was all tough and all that kind of stuff. At 17.
What's your cup size, if you don't mind me asking?
Full B.
You're full B? No, you're not big breasted, but you're big enough.
Full B.
What do you think is your best physical attribute?
I don't know.
You got other stories of, because you've lived a pretty interesting life.
Yeah.
But we won't go into detail with this interview. But yeah, you've been through you've done some stuff, and would you say you've been through the ringer in life somewhat?
Oh yeah, yeah. I've been my ass kicked.
Yeah. Okay. What's your favorite sexual position?
But that was one of the really good things in my life that went on for a while. That was just kind of a cool memory.
Your favorite sexual position, baby. We're talking about.
For what? In terms of what?
Driving on the freeway.
In terms of. For what?
Just having sex.
For like, what? How do I have an orgasm best?
Yeah.
Would be on my back. But then that doesn't mean that I want to do that the whole time.
Okay. All right, I'll write that in my notes.
Okay.
All right, very good. Well, listen, Teacher Sarah, thank you for this interview. I really appreciate it. Thank you for being a good sport. And it's not oftentimes that you get people to admit that they've had sexual relations with a student.